Journey to the West is one of the four great classical novels of China. It's an allegorical story about the journey of spiritual cultivation. It's filled with metaphors, complex literary settings, and some highly influential characters. The most famous character, without a doubt, is Sun Wukong, the Monkey King. The most notable modern representation of the Monkey King is probably Son Goku from Dragon Ball, a character designed to reflect the abilities, appearance, and personality of Sun Wukong. However, the influence of Sun Wukong extends far beyond anime, with his image appearing everywhere in various forms. Unfortunately, the Monkey King is not the main character of Journey to the West. That title belongs to Xuanzang, also known as Tang Seng. He's such an important character that we don't even realize his existence in the first 7 chapters. But let's get straight to the story. The tale begins at Huaguo Mountain, a magical island full of mystical plants and animals with a giant stone. Boom! The stone splits open, and out comes a stone monkey. Though it had just been born, the monkey already knew how to behave. It bowed in all 4 directions, accidentally activating laser eyes that shot directly into the Jade Emperor's palace, causing quite a scare in the heavenly realm. Afterward, the stone monkey joined a troop of monkeys at Huaguo Mountain. They made their way to a large waterfall where one of the monkeys shouted, "Whoever's crazy enough to jump into the waterfall will be king!" The stone monkey immediately leaped in and discovered a beautiful cave with an iron bridge and a massive stone castle, fully furnished to meet all their needs. The monkeys were so impressed that they moved into the newly discovered cave, and the stone monkey was crowned the Great Sage Equal to Heaven. The monkeys of Huaguo Mountain lived in peace for hundreds of years. One day, however, one of the monkeys disappeared. The Great Sage, in his first existential crisis, decided to embark on a quest for immortality. A few years later, the monkey found an immortal Taoist sage named Bodhi. The names of the places are too difficult to pronounce, so we'll skip that part. The Taoist priest, named Bodhi Zushi, accepted the monkey as his disciple and gave him the name Sun Wukong. After 7 years, Sun Wukong learned how to become immortal. He was thrilled with life, but Bodhi Zushi dampened his mood by telling him that they were not out of danger yet. The heavenly realm did not accept the immortality method, and would send 3 calamities every 500 years to eliminate the immortals: thunder, fire, and finally, being burned in a furnace. Sun Wukong was terrified, but not to worry. Bodhi Zushi taught him how to fly and use the earth-suppressing magic, which allowed him to transform into 72 different things to avoid the calamities. However, the monkey continued to misbehave, and eventually Bodhi Zushi had to expel him as a disciple because he could no longer tolerate him. Sun Wukong returned to Huaguo Mountain at the perfect moment, as the monkeys were being harassed by a monster named the Chaos King, who frequently attacked and took the monkeys as slaves. Sun Wukong gave the monster a good beating, freed the captured monkeys, and brought them back home. Then Sun Wukong decided that Huaguo Mountain needed an army. He made a trip to the East Sea Dragon Palace to see if the Dragon King had any weapons to lend. In short, Sun Wukong rejected all the weapons the Dragon King offered, and finally took a magical iron rod that could change its size, using it as his staff, the Ruyi Jingu Beng. He was thrilled with his new weapon, and asked the Dragon King if he had any clothing that would match. The Dragon King, terrified of this super powerful monkey, called upon all his dragon brethren to make a set of fine clothes for Sun Wukong, mainly to get rid of him as quickly as possible. When Sun Wukong returned to Huaguo Mountain, he was so excited that he turned into a giant to show off his new outfit to everyone. This, however, caught the attention of local demons, and the demon group known as the Bull-Headed Horse-Faced Tribe came to ally with the monkeys. Everything was peaceful until one day, while Sun Wukong was taking a nap, 2 messengers from King Yama kidnapped him and took him to the underworld. Sun Wukong got angry and filed a complaint with the 10 kings of Hell. The 10 kings were confused, so Sun Wukong demanded to see the records, and after checking, he found his name. He casually crossed it out, along with the names of every monkey he could find. After that, Sun Wukong grabbed his staff and made his way out of the underworld. He then woke up and told the monkeys the good news. Back in heaven, things were not going as well. Complaints about the stone monkey flooded the Jade Emperor's office, and he wanted to imprison Sun Wukong to avoid further trouble. However, the Jade Emperor's advisor, Tai Bai Jingxing, suggested they should give the monkey an official title to better control his actions and discipline him quickly if necessary. The Jade Emperor agreed and sent Tai Bai Jingxing to bring Sun Wukong to heaven. Once in heaven, Sun Wukong was given the position of Keeper of the Heavenly Horses, the lowest position in the heavenly court. Furious, Sun Wukong took his staff, stormed out of heaven, and returned to Huaguo Mountain, calling himself the great sage equal to heaven. The Jade Emperor, enraged, sent several heavenly soldiers to deal with him, including Neja, but Sun Wukong defeated them all. Angered, the Jade Emperor prepared for a direct confrontation with the monkey. However, Tai Bai Jingxing calmly advised that instead of risking the army fighting against an indestructible, incredibly strong monkey, they should give him a meaningless title to keep him content. And sure enough, Sun Wukong was perfectly happy spending his days lounging in heaven and being served by beautiful celestial maidens. The Jade Emperor, still worried that the monkey might cause trouble, gave him a harmless but time-consuming task, to tend to the peach garden. But taking care of a garden full of immortal peaches without eating them was too much for a monkey brain, so Sun Wukong ate one peach after another and became twice as immortal. Trouble arose when the Queen Mother held the annual peach banquet. 7 celestial maidens were sent to the orchard, only to discover there weren't enough peaches. Sun Wukong trapped the maidens, disguised himself as an immortal Taoist priest invited to the banquet, and when he arrived, he was immediately drawn to the smell of wine. He drank cup after cup, becoming 3 times as immortal and completely drunk. He accidentally stumbled into the palace of Taishang Laojun, also known as Laozi, while looking for a place to sleep. Sun Wukong intended to greet him, but found no one there. He wandered into Laozi's laboratory and found a pile of elixirs. Sun Wukong drank them all, becoming 4 times as immortal and suddenly sober. Realizing what he had done, he fled back to Huaguo Mountain to escape the consequences. Meanwhile, the 7 celestial maidens, the wine carrier, the event organizers, and Laozi all came to complain to the Jade Emperor. Almost the entire heavenly army was immediately dispatched to capture Sun Wukong. Because Sun Wukong was ridiculously strong, fighting him head-on was ineffective. At this point, the Bodhisattva Guanyin and her disciple, Mok Tra, attended the Peach Garden banquet and were informed about the current chaos. Mok Tra was sent to Huaguo Mountain to gather information, only to be beaten up. Guanyin then suggested someone who could challenge Wukong, Erlang Shen, the top general of the heavenly realm. Erlang Shen and Wukong were about evenly matched, so they ended up fighting each other to exhaustion and switched to shape-shifting. As they were having fun, Laozi suddenly appeared and set a trap to capture Wukong. However, since Wukong was immortal, the heavenly realm couldn't kill him. They placed him in the 8 trigrams furnace and tried to burn away his immortality over 49 days. But instead of weakening Wukong, the furnace just made him stronger. Wukong escaped, causing chaos all around. The Jade Emperor had no choice but to call for the ultimate backup, the Buddha. The Buddha challenged Wukong to escape from his grasp. Wukong accepted, flying all the way to the edge of the universe, where he found 5 pillars holding up the sky. Wukong decided to leave his mark by graffitiing one of the pillars and peeing on it, marking his territory like a dog. When Wukong returned to face the Buddha, he proudly told him about his journey. But when the Buddha stretched out his hand, he revealed that Wukong's graffiti was on one of his fingers. It turned out the entire universe Wukong had flown through was just the Buddha's hand. Terrified, Wukong tried to flee, but the Buddha used magic to trap him beneath a mountain. This mountain was created from the Buddha's 5-fingered hand and was called Five-Finger Mountain or Five Elements Mountain. There are a bunch of different names for it. Normally, Wukong would have found a way to escape easily, but the Buddha sealed the mountain with a spell. Here, Wukong would remain for the next 500 years, doing nothing but waiting for a chosen one to come and release him. During the same 500 years, the Buddha returned home and leisurely wrote 3 baskets full of scriptures called the 3 Baskets Sutra. These scriptures turned out to be incredibly powerful, capable of saving even the most vile and lowly beings. It might sound exaggerated, but how would I know? So these remarkable scriptures needed to be brought to China to save those who were living wrongly there, and apparently there were quite a few of them. For some reason, the Buddha couldn't deliver the scriptures himself, so they had to find someone in China to travel to India to fetch them. Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara volunteered to fly east to find that person, after receiving 5 treasures to pass on to the one who would bring back the scriptures. Avalokiteshvara and Mok Tra set off to check the road conditions. After only 3 minutes, they were pursued and attacked by a river monster. However, Avalokiteshvara convinced the creature to calm down and wait for the scripture bearer. In return for helping, the monster would have its past sins forgiven and be allowed to leave its exile. The creature agreed and was given the name Sha Wujing, or simply Sha Seng. Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara and Mok Tra continued their journey. and soon encountered another monster, a pig-headed creature holding a large trident. The pig and Mok Tra fought for a while, but when the pig saw Avalokiteshvara, it immediately stopped and begged for forgiveness, admitting it had developed a habit of eating travelers. Avalokiteshvara once again proposed that the pig accompany the scripture bearer on his journey, and in return, it would be forgiven for its past crimes. The pig agreed and was given the name Zhu Wuneng, or simply Zhu Bajie. Bajie had to stay behind and practice vegetarianism until the scripture bearer arrived, while Avalokiteshvara and Mok Tra continued on. They then encountered the reason why Journey to the West is the framework for many anime stories, a small dragon awaiting execution for accidentally burning a part of his father's palace. Avalokiteshvara persuaded the Jade Emperor to spare the dragon, and then directed him to a nearby river where he was transformed into a horse to wait for the scripture bearer to pass by and offer him a ride. They continued their journey until they arrived at a strange glowing mountain, Wuhang Mountain, where Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, was imprisoned. Wukong greeted Avalokiteshvara saying, "Hey, Bodhisattva, how's it going? It's been 500 years of loneliness here." Avalokiteshvara responded, "Hey bro, someone is going to come to take the scriptures across this mountain and free you. Remember to protect him." Wukong agreed, and Avalokiteshvara continued on her way. Before reaching the capital, Chang'an, in China, Avalokiteshvara disguised herself to avoid drawing attention. They began searching for the monk who would be the main character of this story. This is where the plot takes a turn, introducing Xuanzang's complicated family history. In short, Xuanzang is the grandson of an emperor, raised as a monk from childhood after being hidden by his mother. He is also the reincarnation of Jin Chen, one of the Buddha's first disciples. So Xuanzang was an amazing person with an impressive background. The imperial court was also searching for the right monk to retrieve the scriptures, and of course they chose Xuanzang, the legendary neighbor's child from ancient China. Avalokiteshvara, hearing the news, decided to check it out. She sneaked into the court and gave the officials 2 treasures to gift to the most virtuous monk they knew. Xuanzang received a splendid cassock and an imposing staff, both from Avalokiteshvara, who also knew Xuanzang was the right person for the job. On the day of the grand ceremony, when the emperor selected Xuanzang to preach for him, Avalokiteshvara took the spotlight by appearing and asking, "Who is willing to go to India to retrieve the 3 Baskets Sutra?" "Of course," Xuanzang volunteered, as predicted. He was also given the name Tom Tung, a horse and 2 companions. But soon after they set off, they were immediately eaten by monsters. A great start indeed. After the monsters enjoyed their feast on Xuanzang's companions, they went to sleep, leaving Xuanzang to worry about how he would be cooked the next day. Suddenly, a mysterious old man appeared out of nowhere. The old man freed Xuanzang and they escaped the cave together. Xuanzang turned to thank him, but the old man had vanished, leaving behind a message that he was actually the revered Tai Bai Jinxing, sent to provide divine assistance. Xuanzang continued alone for half a day and soon realized he wasn't very good at this mission stuff. He and his horse were about to be done for when a friendly hunter named Ba Kem came to the rescue. Xuanzang followed Ba Kem home and by chance helped free Ba Kem's father from a curse. Ba Kem then decided to escort Xuanzang to the Great Tang's border mountain, Wuhang Mountain. Wukong greeted him. "Hey bro, are you the one going to retrieve the scriptures?" Avalokiteshvara told him to climb the mountain and tear off the talisman. Xuanzang did as instructed, and after getting a safe distance away, Wukong broke free from the mountain. But before they could go any further, they were attacked by mountain bandits. Wukong handled them easily, but Xuanzang scolded him for killing, saying that as a follower of Buddha, one should not kill. Wukong was frustrated and left. Xuanzang continued alone until he met a mysterious old woman holding a silk robe and a hat. The old woman said, "Hey bro, your superpowered disciple just left, right? Give him these and teach him this incantation." Xuanzang thought it sounded ridiculous, but was convinced. The old woman transformed into a beam of light and disappeared. It was Avalokiteshvara in disguise. Meanwhile, Wukong was drinking with the Dragon King, who advised him to go back and find Xuanzang, not to give up on true enlightenment over a petty quarrel. Wukong went back west, met with Avalokiteshvara, and was convinced to return to find Xuanzang. Now, Wukong agreed to meet Xuanzang, who handed him the clothes, which fit perfectly. But when Wukong discovered the hat was cursed, the fun ended. As Xuanzang chanted the spell, the hat shrank into a ring, tightening and causing Wukong unbearable pain. In the end, the monkey accepted his fate, and master and disciple continued their journey, their powers now more balanced. They reached a calm little river, but unfortunately it was the home of a massive dragon. The dragon immediately ate Tam Tang's horse. Wukong and the dragon fought briefly, but the dragon decided to back off and hide in the water. The earth god there informed Wukong that the dragon had actually been instructed to help Tam Tang. In short, Avalokiteshvara told the dragon to transform into a horse for Tam Tang, to replace the one the dragon had eaten, and to prevent Wukong from staying mad about the golden hoop. Avalokiteshvara also gave the monkey 3 life-saving hairs. The group of monkeys, horses, and people continued their journey west and reached a temple with a suspicious abbot. To keep it brief, the abbot saw Tam Tang's shiny cassock and wanted to steal it. The best way to do that was to burn down his own temple. Wukong smelled the smoke but didn't care. He had already borrowed a fireproof cloak for Tam Tang and the horse. When Tam Tang woke up, a mountain demon had passed by and stolen the cassock, and the temple was in ruins. The abbot had committed suicide. Wukong went up the mountain, fought the demon, retrieved the cassock, and returned to continue the journey with Tam Tang. The group continued heading west and came across a strange-looking boy at a farm. Wukong immediately interrogated him and discovered that something was off about the farm. Not long ago, an ugly monster had turned into a handsome man and married a young lady from the cow family. After the marriage, the creature relaxed and revealed its true form. The Chow family strongly opposed this monstrous son-in-law and had been searching for an exorcist, but they hadn't been successful. Wukong volunteered to go and speak with Cao Taigong. It turned out that the situation had been going on for 3 years. Despite the monster's ugly appearance and possessive nature, the son-in-law worked hard. But Cao Taigong didn't like him and wanted his daughter to return home. He asked Wukong to force the pig demon to sign a divorce contract. Wukong disguised himself as the daughter and waited for the pig demon. When the demon returned that evening, he was beaten up, and it was revealed that the pig had once been the great marshal of heaven, Tian Bong Jai Nguyen Soai, who had been punished for flirting with the moon goddess Chang'e. He was struck with 2,000 lashes and exiled to the mortal realm. He had been waiting for Tam Tang to retrieve the scriptures. When he learned Tam Tang was here, he surrendered. Tam Tang was pleased to have a new disciple to assist him. Everything was resolved so quickly it was surprising. Cao Taigong held a grand feast to see the scripture party off on their journey. Shortly after, they met a monk named Osao. Osao warned Tam Tang that the upcoming journey would be filled with demons, and gave him a scripture called the Heart Sutra. Theoretically, it would keep Tam Tang safe when he read it. Afterward, Osao casually insulted Wukong and Bajie, warning Tam Tang to watch out for water spirits before disappearing. The group continued their journey west and encountered a demon tiger. During their battle, the tiger realized its weakness, skinned itself, and placed the skin on a rock as bait. It then captured Tam Tang to bring him to its master, a stone demon, and began discussing how to cook him. Meanwhile, Wukong and Bajie found the stone demon's lair quickly. The stone demon sent a tiger to fight Wukong. Wukong beat it, but when the tiger ran, Bajie appeared and delivered the final blow like a boss, showing Bajie's character accurately for the rest of the story. Wukong took the tiger's body and flew to disturb the stone demon. The stone demon rushed out and fought Wukong, but when it realized it couldn't win, it unleashed a deadly windstorm that blinded Wukong and forced him to stop fighting. Wukong and Bajie found a small house nearby, where a friendly old man allowed them to stay overnight. The old man gave Wukong a special eye medicine, and by morning, Wukong's vision was restored. At that moment, Wukong discovered the house had never existed. The old man was actually a deity assigned to help Tam Tang retrieve the scriptures. Wukong switched tactics, transforming into a mosquito and sneaking into the stone demon's lair. He discovered that Tam Tang was still alive and quite upset that he hadn't been rescued. On his way out, Wukong overheard the stone demon's soldiers talking. They had encountered Bajie but not Wukong, so they assumed Wukong was either dead or looking for reinforcements. However, only one person could stand up to the stone demon's windstorm, Lingong Bodhisattva. Wukong went to find Lingong Bodhisattva, who revealed that he had defeated the stone demon before, but allowed it to remain on the mountain as long as it didn't harm anyone. Since this condition had been broken, Lingong agreed to help. When the stone demon was fighting Wukong again, Lingong Bodhisattva threw a staff to bind the demon tightly to the mountain. This allowed Wukong and Bajie to rescue Tam Tung. The group continued their journey and came across a large river filled with waves and winds, which was already bad enough. But under the river was a giant demon, making things even worse. The problem was Wukong wasn't good at fighting underwater, so Bajie had to lure the demon onto land for Wukong to fight. The plan was good, except Wukong was too impulsive and lost the demon, which retreated back into the river. The next day, they tried again, but the demon wouldn't bite. The best solution in this situation was to find Avalokiteshvara, as she always knew how to help. The river demon turned out to be Sha Wu Jing, who had been tipped off by Avalokiteshvara on the way to Chang'an. They met and spoke with Sha Wu Jing, who said that if they had mentioned Tam Tang or the scriptures earlier, everything would have been resolved long ago. This highlighted the importance of good communication. And so, the main group of characters headed off to retrieve the scriptures. Xuanzang, Wukong, Bajie, Sha Wu Jing, and the horse. What will happen next? Will the horse remember it's a dragon and be able to fly? Keep following this series to find out.